Hey, friends! Welcome to another episode of the So-Called Oreos Podcast, the podcast where we discuss all the awkwardness, hardship, and hilarity that comes along with society labeling you white on the inside and black on the outside, also known as an Oreo. I'm one of your hosts, Amari, here with
Kia Swinton.
Rachel Fowler.
And Janae Price.
um, yeah. So if you guys didn't already peep the title of this week's episode, we are talking about colorism. Guys, when I tell you we have been discussing this issue and how we could do it on the podcast for like a year, it's literally been like on the top of our discussion lists. And we just decided to take it on this week. So for those of listeners who don't know, the textbook dictionary definition of colorism is prejudice or discrimination, especially within a racial or ethnic group, favoring people with lighter skin over those with darker skin. By 2027, the skin whitening market will be worth $24 billion. And that's really alarming and sad to me because you're perpetuating this idea that in order to be deemed beautiful, you have to be fair. And, a recent, I know it was really popular, you guys, and just like, I love a good matchmaking, a good love show. And as an outside person who, there is a level of curiosity for me about the uh, Indian matchmaking and like wedding industry because of how big it is. And just so I watched it, but I really struggled through the show because of how blatant the colorism was and how everyone was like, whoever they were going to be matched with needed to be light. And that just like really, and I don't understand, the nuances and the detail of the caste system and how that works. So I can't, I don't want it to come off like I'm harshly judging. But as someone who doesn't understand that just came off really, it was just really off-putting to me, and I had to like multiple times pause the show and walk away because as a as a dark-skinned person, it was really hard just to see people just be tossed aside because they were considered too dark.
Yeah, so in terms of Indian matchmaker, I also was like a little disturbed by the whole like, she's great, she's a great option because she's fair. And I was just taken aback by that because I knew it was something in like Indian culture, but I didn't know it was such a huge factor still. And then when I saw Crystal from the Read tweet about it, people were like, "Oh, I thought they meant fair. Like she's like a fair person. Like she's an equal opportunist." But a lot of people didn't know that like they meant fair, like light skin. But I do think it's important to highlight that it's not just Black culture, that it is very prominent. Like Indian culture in China, they don't want to get tan, so they walk around with umbrellas and stuff like that. It's a lot of other cultures as well. Obviously, we can talk more about it being a Black culture, but I do think it's something that other cultures need to address. And in terms of like fair and lovely, it's also highly marketed in Africa, which is just disgusting that something like that is marketed in Africa. But
My family is Jamaican, and like growing up, they had billboards and I would see them when we would go visit over the summers. And there's actually this really good book by Nicole Dennis Ben called, I believe it's Under the Sun. No, Here Comes the Sun. I'm sorry. And it discusses about skin bleaching, the skin bleaching culture in Jamaica. And like, I think of artists like Vibes Cartel, who's very popular, but the man does not even look human at this point. His skin is just gray from all the bleaching. And it's just like really disappointing because when I think of Jamaican culture, I think of like people that are very like into their Blackness, but also like just like the African diaspora. So like to see how that kind of bleeds into it, it's just like, damn.
Yeah, and I think Black China actually, sorry, Black China was promoting this, and I was just like, really, we're doing this in like 2018, 2019, whenever she did it, and I was just like, you're such a bird, bro. Like that's just whack. Why are we doing this? But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that it was in other cultures and that products like this still exist in 2020, which is just disgusting, and there's no way this should be allowed right now.
Yeah. And, as our resident K-pop fan, this has definitely been a trend in Asian culture too. I mean, Kim Namjoon, who's the leader of BTS, he openly talked about his own insecurities, kind of being like the darkest member of BTS. But really, he's not even dark. His skin tone is very, I don't know, like it's a shade of honey, basically. And he talked about feeling very insecure about being dark, and it's actually insane because it's like you're not dark in the slightest. So yeah, as to echo what you guys said, it's definitely a thing in other shades, POC everywhere. Colonization has seeped its ugly fangs into the world.
And then we have like media representation, how the light skinned women are usually the lead characters. And then you have the light skinned women are usually successful. They have it all together. They're likable. And then the dark skinned woman, who's usually portrayed as like sassy, talkative, undesirable, and desperate when it comes to finding love. For example, Nikki Parker from the Parkers, Dejanay from the Proud Family, and Pam from Martin, and how the how these kind of like these women, these characters were like put against each other just because of their features and how they look because of their skin tone. um and in music videos, like we have rappers always talking about light skinned women and talk about their hair and how they're exotic, and how they go for exotic and foreign women. And 50 Cent talking about when he was on Little Wayne's podcast, talking about how he doesn't go for certain women because they're not exotic looking. And I was like, yo, Black women are exotic. Like, what are you talking about? So that's just, my experience with like colorism and what I witnessed and experienced.
I just wanted to, you said something about the Proud Family, and I think we all need to discuss the Gross Sisters and how
Yeah.
problematic that image growing up, and something I didn't even like necessarily recognize in the moment, but the fact that the
Mhm.
darkest people on the show are blue, and that is a common um, comment on dark skinned people. It's like, oh, you're so dark, you're blue. But they explain it. Like, I went on like a very deep Google search one night, and they said that the reason that they're blue is because they're so ashy because they can't afford lotion. So you mean to tell me that the darkest skinned girls who you call gross are also poor, and you make them mean and they're bullies, and it's just kind of like, tell us more about what you think about dark skinned people.
Oh my god, I didn't know any of this until you
It's
just said that. It just made sense. Like, oh my god, that's now I'm thinking about it. That's an awful explanation. Oh my god.
And that's like,
like, sorry, go ahead, Amari.
sorry, I was just gonna say, um and and I think people don't even realize like the subliminal messages that you get as a kid. Like, you may not recognize what it means in the moment, but that shit stays with you and you internalize that. And so like, I was watching Proud Family when I was like 8, 9. I still watch it as an adult. um and that stuff, it's like,
That's
it stays
exactly
with
what I
you.
was gonna say. So we can like move on. Yeah,
No, you can.
that
Damn.
these things we internalize, and then you grow up thinking that it's okay, and then as you get older, like you start to like navigate the world thinking that something is wrong with you because of like your skin tone and the features that you have. So yeah.
That's crazy. I'm like still like, wow, the Gross Sisters.
Mhm.
That's insane.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in with us this week for this episode. Follow us, as we said, on all social media. I think sorry guys, my lisp came out a bit. Social media at So-Called Oreos. And you can email us at socalledoreos@gmail.com. Also, please help us out and fill out our new survey, which isn't actually new, it's kind of old. But we just want to see what you guys think and how we can better shape the show for you. So make sure to listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. And please, please remember to like, rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye guys.
Hey, So-Called Oreos fam. I need you to do a favor for me and all of the Oreos. Hit that subscribe button. I know you see it, that big red subscribe thing at the bottom of the video. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. Also, like and leave a comment. All right. Bye, guys.